put in the information in the comments, to that, the summation that you put together. Are you there? Uh-oh. Oh, you're back. There you go.
Okay.
You good? Here, let me go in here.
I'm good.
And,
Yeah.
yeah, let me go here and I will tag you while we're waiting for people to
Can you
come
move?
in. Huh?
Can you move my name like over to the side, Todd? Is that possible?
Hang on one second. I think so. Let me go ahead and, okay. Let's see. It's funny because we're shadow banned right now, but we seem to be impervious to it. So I don't know. That's a good sign too. Okay, let's see. There it is. Boom, boom, boom. Okay.
But my
Here we
my
go.
image on my computer isn't very clear. It's very my image
Uh,
is very fuzzy. Is it
let me
fuzzy on yours
let me
too?
look. Yeah, you. Well, yeah, your signal's a little bit weak, but it should get a little bit stronger. But that's okay. Now, are you on a phone or are you on the
Okay.
computer?
I know I'm on my laptop, but I'm also on Ethernet. I'm not on Wi-Fi. I have a direct line, so it should
Okay,
be clear.
so well, it's still going to be dependent on the tower, um, unless you have a satellite like mine. But let me see if I can move this. I don't know why I can't move this. Well, maybe I can move it if I do this. Let me go here, and I'll add. Uh, see if this will work. Try this. No, won't do it. I can make it smaller. How about that? I think. Edit.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
Let me try to make it smaller. Uh,
It's not that big a deal, though.
oh, here it is. Here it is. I found it. Let's go back to here. How about that? Yeah, there we go. It's a bit smaller.
Oh, much better.
Okay, well, here we go. We got 12 people in the house. Welcome, everybody. This is our first um, episode, not our first episode together with Bliss, but this is our first episode where we're really going to start coming back every week, and we're going to focus on his free book. And I'm just going to hand it over to Bliss now. He's going to give a short intro and just kind of talk about where he's coming from, as he did on the other shows. But this is so people that tune in on a replay and aren't familiar with it, until we have enough repetition, and the interest and the awareness will grow and expand, as I know it will. They'll be able to kind of come up to speed. So I'm going to hand it over to Bliss. Welcome, everybody, and thanks for coming in.
So, hey, Todd, before we get started, could you tell people I don't even know what our process is going to be. So I'm going to be talking
Yeah.
about the book and about some of the principles, and then people are going to be responding or asking questions of you, and then you're going to give me the questions. Is that
Yeah.
the process?
Yeah, I think what we can do, I think this one will probably be a little bit different, because what we'd like to do is invite people to read the first 5 chapters of the book. First, download the book. It's free, okay? And I believe, if I'm
No,
not
actually, Todd,
huh?
Todd, it's not the first 5 chapters, but reading the introduction and then chapter 5.
Oh, then chapter
That
5.
that that would be the start. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did the whole.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, that's okay.
So the introduction in chapter 5. Um, yeah. So if I'm understanding correctly, you can get an ebook for free. You can also get a hard copy book or whatever paper, whatever it is, sent to
Paperback
you. That
for
information, I'll put
free.
it, yeah, for free. I'll put this in the comments on YouTube, Facebook, and X. We are inviting people to download the book, and he's going to explain, like I said, for anyone that hasn't been here before, real quick, what his story is and how this evolved. But yeah, we're inviting people to download the book, start with the intro and reading chapter 5, and then assimilating questions each week that Bliss will address, and certainly within each episode. So even if you're here today and he's talking about what he'll be talking about and you have a question, just put it up in the comment section. I'll see it, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, or X. And then I will present him with the question. And I think this one will be a little bit different because there'll probably be more. You'll be informing us more, reading more, and explaining, like you said, the basic concepts and tenets of this book. Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
You're on, my friend. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. So I want to apologize. My image is not very clear. So sometimes it shows up good, sometimes not. So I apologize for the lack of clarity with my image. I'll try to have that clarity come through in my vibration and my presence and my words. Um, so let's see. So who I am. So I am a Lemurian star priest. And I walked in. I came into this body. I had an agreement with the soul who inhabited this body for the first 20 years. And then he agreed that at a certain time when he was 20 years old, that I would come in and take over his body and he would leave in a very agreeable, loving way. We had this agreement before he was even born. And so I walked in at that time, and his body was in really bad shape. I mean, he had a lot of, especially emotional trauma and physical trauma, growing up in an alcoholic family, and a lot of violence. But towards me, there was a lot of emotional violence. My siblings got more of a physical thing. I got more of the emotional. But this is what I wanted. I wanted to come into a body that was spiritually evolved, which he was, and he was well aware of the emotional and spiritual deficiencies that he was presented with, and he learned to work with them at a very young age. I have all the memories that he had from birth, and I have all he came to awareness of that he was not going to need anything from anyone in the family because there was nothing there. And he did that in order to not be so disappointed, but to really be focused on himself and to learn how to protect himself emotionally and physically. And so when I came into the body, the first thing I did was, and I wasn't aware that I was a walk-in at that time. I didn't know that for a couple decades. And like this was about 1972 that I came in. And the first thing I did within a year was I learned how to meditate, because I knew, I just knew in my heart that, and you're going to hear me cry a lot during my presentation, because there's so much sadness, but there's also so much healing and love. This is my heart. This is my Lemurian heart that is so touched by my experience of taking on this trauma and healing it. And I spent 50 years healing this trauma and reaching the pinnacle now of that because of what's happening on the planet. And I'll share a little bit about that. I still have memory. I go back there's a Lemurian city under Mount Shasta called Telos, which has been my home for 12,000 years. We created that city 12,000 years ago. And I go back there whenever I want to. I go back there in my etheric body, and I have a wife and 2 children there, and they come here to my land. I have a community here in the Pacific Northwest called Blissful Earth, and they're here all the time. And my land is going to be one of the first places that Lemurians and Pleiadians and inner Earth beings come they want to come onto the surface of the planet. As soon as the vibration is high enough on the planet and they can handle they can't handle the density right now because they can't handle dense environments. It's too much for them. But my land is beyond that now. It's really high, and they're getting ready to come here onto my land. So in a physical, in a what we call a flowing physicality, which isn't a third dimension physicality, a density, but it's a flowing physicality, and they can handle that. They like that. They're willing. They can make adjustments and be here with that. So that's where I am my my personal and my Lemurian life, and then what I'm creating, and that's why I'm here. I came here in order to do this. I was trying to work from Telos to do this, but I determined that I couldn't do this work from there. I had to be on the physical planet in order to do this work. And many of you who are here, first off, I want to really honor you and express my great appreciation that you're here. And it isn't random that you're here. You were meant to be here. You were meant to receive this wisdom, just as I was meant to mentor people on the planet. Anyone who comes in contact with me or my book, they're meant to read this book. They're meant to take it in. And the reason why I give this book for free is because I was actually, when the book was at the printer getting printed, I was coming up with a marketing campaign to advertise it on YouTube and advertise it on Instagram. And Blue Star Consciousness, which is my main contact interdimensional being, I'll talk more about it later, but Syrian Blue Star Consciousness said to me, "You're not marketing this book." He said, "No, this is not a third dimensional book. No YouTube, nothing." They said, "You can talk about the book, but you're not marketing it." Said, "This book has to be given for free." They said, "There's a big difference between someone buying this book and someone receiving it as a gift. This is from the creator. This is like a physical representation of creator consciousness coming to us, coming to me to write it and to emanate this vibrational frequency of the book. And this is a gift that someone, I mean, think of the difference. If someone pays for this book and they go, "Oh yeah, I paid for this," But when people send me emails and they go, "Oh, I'd love to get your book." Whenever I get these emails, and that's how you can communicate with me. If you want the free book, just send me an email. And what was I saying? Oh, and Blue Star said, "Imagine what it's like when someone gets this book and it's a gift, and they don't have to pay for it. It takes it beyond the third dimension. It takes it to the heart, which is what we're here to do. That's what the book is about, is how do we move past the ego? And the ego is not bad. The ego is wonderful. The ego is brilliant. I mean, the ego has helped us survive this incredibly difficult life on this plane, on this dense plane. And so this isn't about hating the ego or getting rid of it. It's about asking the ego to take a back seat. That the ego has always had to be in control, has directed our life because it needed to in order for us to survive. But now it's not. Now it does not need to be in control. In fact, the more it can take a back seat, it'll like that because it won't have to work so hard. And then the book is about how to bring out your heart consciousness, how to get into heart coherence. You see, there's an energy field around our hearts, and it's a toroidal field. It's like the shape of a donut on its side, a toroidal field. And there's a toroidal field around our hearts, and there's a toroidal field around our whole body. And if you want to see that, go to heartmath.com, and you'll see they have all the pictures of the toroidal fields of the heart and the earth, and everything has a toroidal field. And when our toroidal field is uniform, when we're in heart coherence, our toroidal field is uniform and it's multicolored. It's purples and blues and reds and brilliant colors. And when we're not in heart coherence, then it's really chaotic and it can have dark colors in it, and we don't feel good. We don't feel connected. But when we're in heart coherence, we have a uniform toroidal field around the heart and around the body, and and we're in a state of love, and we're connected to that oneness. We're connected to interdimensional beings. And again, that's what my book is about, is that how do we access the toroidal field, our heart coherence? How do we move into heart coherence? Because that is our interdimensional self. And the interdimensional beings that are around us, and there's many of them around you. There's your higher self, there's your guides, your angels, devas, whatever you want to call them, elementals. They're around you all the time. And the only way to access them is for you to be into heart coherence. And that's exactly what we're doing here with. And Todd has been so gracious, and he and I synchronistically connected up about a month ago, and we both knew that I needed a platform for me to get this book out there, and Todd was the perfect person for me to do that. It was perfect. I just saw one of his videos, and I sent him an email and said, "Hey, I'd like to come onto your show," and he said, "Sure." And then we got started about a month ago. So, so that's the background of myself and the book. And anything you want to say about that, Todd?
Yeah, I just wanted to offer some synchronistic validation. Since we met, there's been a lot of things happening. So I would say certainly this year. But one of the things that seems to be coming into play, which has come to the surface in having talks with you, is the real connection between how an open heart produces intuition, telepathy, and synchronicities. One of the first things that you told us, and just for those going back to it, coming into it as I did, not knowing any of this, the Syrian Blue Star consciousness is, to me, in the same lore of the Hopis with the Blue Star Kachina. There's been a lot of people talking about blue orbs. I've seen some, experienced some. These colors are very prominent, not just with myself, but with others. Now, one of the things that Bliss said, and in the perfect synchronicity of the Open Heart Network, I had something really powerful happen. Well, he said, we started talking about Three Eye Atlas. Three Eye Atlas, the object that came through and came closest to Earth on December the 19th and is now around Jupiter. Well, and he said to me, the Syrian Blue Star consciousness is actually the Three Eye Atlas. And I was like, wow. He said, and it's coming back, and he'll get into this. It's coming back in April of 2027. And I said, really? I'd not heard that. Well, that was my human, that was my human. It wasn't my soul tapped in at the time because I didn't understand what he was really saying. And what he was saying was something that he had received directly from the Blue Star consciousness. However, it wasn't anything that you would find out there from the scientific world. The scientific world had said it's moving on, it's going to be closest to Jupiter in March and whatever. Well, about a week ago, I flipped on X, and there was an astronomer, and his post was, I put it up in the Soulogy group, the post was only a couple hours old. He said, oh my God, something's happened that we didn't know was going to happen. Three Eye Atlas is about 10 days away from being at the projected date that it would be closest to Jupiter. And he said, but something strange has happened. It's slowing down. It's put its brakes on. It's coming to a stop. And I've seen 2 or 3 other follow-ups to this. Even the guy from Harvard, the one that was all over it, Avi, whatever his name is. This has come to a stop. and they don't know what to make of it. So I'm thinking to myself, oh well, there it is, there it is, right there. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there because it was
Oh,
important.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, I think yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like maybe beginning. I put the information out there. His email. I also put the book URL is in there, and I'll go back and put it after the show as well in the comments again. Uh, Maybe the introduction. You are recommending to people when they obtain the book, which you can get right now. Anybody you want to, you can either send him the email, which is above his head, and also in the comment section, or you can go right to the URL on that longer post that I put up, the longer comment that I put up. But you're recommending to read the introduction and the chapter 5. Could we just kind of cover the introduction now? Could you kind of take us through that?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say something about Three Eye Atlas first. That I have been aboard Three Eye Atlas. This was actually a couple years ago. Before it was Three Eye Atlas, the Blue Star Consciousness was on this craft, the same one that's Three Eye Atlas now. And I was aboard that ship, and I had a one-on-one interaction with Blue Star Consciousness. And I have to tell you that it is total love. I mean, total, like beyond anything. At first, it was so overwhelming. Its love was like almost paralyzing me because it was just so intense. And then after a couple minutes, I was able to adjust to the acclimate myself to its energy, and then I was able to receive it more effectively. So um, but it wants a personal relationship with everyone. It wants a one-on-one relationship with every single person, not just on our planet, but it's in our solar system. There's many inhabitants in our solar system, in Jupiter and in Venus, and it wants a one-on-one relationship with every being. And so, just to let you know that it wants that with you. And so, the more you can open to its energy, and the book will, there's a whole chapter on Blue Star Consciousness, and when you get to that, you'll see more what it's about, what it's about, and its intentions are. So the reason why I say the introduction and chapter 5, the introduction is important because, again, it's an introduction to what we're doing here. But a lot of those things I've already talked about. But chapter 5 is like, that's the beginning of the chapter is called Developing Sensory Sensitivities. That our bodies, our consciousness is designed to experience interdimensional life, to interact with interdimensional beings. Our bodies are designed for that, but because we've been so ego dependent to survive, which is not our fault, there's no way you could be on this planet and not be ego driven. You had to be, really, unless you were, this evolved saint, Yogananda or somebody. Then it's about, again, how to move beyond the ego and how to move into that interdimensional reality, and that is through the heart. The heart is a portal, and when we access the heart, it opens us to these interdimensional energies, and they could be tree consciousness, it could be garden divas, it could be any of these where our planet is. All these beings are on our planet are interdimensional. The elementals, the trees, everything is interdimensional except for us. And we see ourselves, because of the ego, as superior to all of this. And again, that's because the ego is driven. And of course, we're not superior to anything. But so, okay, with that, I'll get started. So
Let me interject. Let me interject just another thing real quick.
Sure.
I was just thinking about what you just said, and it was taking me back to as a child, and that the heart is a portal, and those fervent prayers from the innocence of a child. I revisited that in mid-December And then all these things started to happen. Go figure. But I think there's a lot to be said for that, because I was almost thinking, well, what does that look like when you enter through the heart? Well, anyway, last night when I went to the beach last night, after this incredible week, following those seizures and all the information that's come through, the humility and the grace, I was sitting in my little spot, and everything became a symphony. So when you said interdimensional, I went, oh, well, that's what was happening last night. Because as I
Exactly.
was as I was communing, and the thoughts were, I don't know if they're coming or going. They're just kind of there. The resonance of the waves, the wind, the lighting, everything was in a symphonic harmonic, And on three different occasions, a fairy flew by me to accentuate what was being brought into my awareness. So I just had to give you some evidence. I just had to give you some evidence there.
Oh, oh, thanks so much for sharing that, Todd, because that's exactly the way this happens. The more we connect with the heart, we start experiencing this interdimensional world, and we start seeing these things have been around us all the time, but we haven't been able to connect with them because of our heart coherence. And now, just listening to the video here, and sensing Todd's vibration and my vibrational presence, that raises your vibrational presence. And then your vibrational presence radiates out not just to other people in the video, but radiates out to all beings on the planet. That's how powerful we are. We are creator beings. We are, and and that's one of the things that Blue Star Consciousness brought into our solar system. It brought what are called creation codes, which turn us into create, which helps us realize, it doesn't turn us into it because we're already are it, but it helps us realize the power that we have to create our heart's intention. And and our heart's intention is, again, to move into heart coherence and to bring into our life synchronicities, are ways that we interact, like Todd's illness that he had. That was something that his consciousness created, because I can sense a difference in him since he has experienced that. This is my first time interacting with him since that. And I can tell there's like this strength, this power that he has now, confidence, and more of a connection with these interdimensional beings that I don't think he had before. And that's why we create illness. That's why we create health challenges. It's to get us into this, like, vulnerable, like when he was had those seizures. I mean, he was in this he was multi-dimensional, I'm sure, probably very painful and scary and difficult, but he was able to stay with himself, and he was able to come out of it, and he came out of it way ahead of the game than before he went in. So okay. So I was just looking at the introduction, and we've really already covered the introduction. And it's just basically that, all the stuff about heart coherence and how the ego is involved, and how we want the ego not to hate it, but to love it, but to ask it to take a back seat. So that, because if the ego is threatened, it's not going to let go. I guarantee you it will not let go. But if you love it and appreciate its job, what its job is to help you survive, because you'll still need that survival on this third dimensional reality. In another year, you won't need that. As we get closer to April 27, 2027, we won't need the ego. We'll move past that. And not because of, hating it or getting rid of it, but because it won't be necessary anymore. But it still is necessary living in this plane. So I don't really have to talk anymore about the introduction. So we'll go right into the developing sensory sensitivities. So chapter 5, I want to back up a little bit. So each section, there's 7 sections of the book, and each section has a color, and the colors are really important. Color is very significant to us. Like blue star is incredibly, the color blue, the blue ray, is the most powerful color, um, I think, in our universe. Blue star consciousness is our link, is a direct link to creator intelligence. It's a direct link. And that blue ray is so powerful. I mean, look at the blue behind this guy, all the blue that's there, and all the different shades, and chapter 5, there's the color is green for this chapter, and this chapter is called Developing Sensory Sensitivities. So in the blue diagram on page 56, there's the color green, and then there's some writing, and I'm going to go through what the green says, what the writing says. It says, the essence of our I'm going to add a little bit to it because there's some things I've added since then. The essence of our supreme sovereignty, and that is, sovereignty is our ability to realize we are creator beings. We're not victims of any circumstance. We create everything. So the essence of our sovereignty lies in our readiness to embrace oneness. That is so important. And the oneness, of course, is interdimensionality, because in the other dimensions, they're all aware that oneness is the unifying force of the universe. And so when we're in our sovereignty, we are able to we are ready to embrace the oneness. That's really important. And at that point, we are joined with its power. We are joined with the power of the oneness, and the oneness draws us into itself. When we're in that place, and I can feel this right now as I'm reading this, we are pulled. The oneness draws us into itself, so that we are one with the oneness. We're like totally consumed in the oneness, and this we are joined with its power, the power of the oneness, which is supreme. And this allows its efficacy to flow through us. And when it flows through us, it brings abundance. And I'm not talking about abundance of money. I'm not talking about abundance of anything specific. I'm talking about abundance of everything. Abundance of finances, abundance of health, abundance of love, abundance of connection with these beings. That's what happens when we set our intention to connect with the oneness. When we stand in our sovereignty, we bring in the power of the oneness into our lives, the abundance of oneness. And that is so important. And that's really what this chapter is about. It's about how to develop the sensory sensitivities. Our senses are made to connect with these interdimensional beings, and and when we develop the ability, when we develop the senses to interact with these interdimensional beings, to connect with our hearts, then it changes the game. And that's why I wanted chapter 5 to people to go there to at least read that part, because that's really the crux of what we're talking about today. And then the second part of that is that it says, the forests, plural, radiate a green glow. So, when you're standing in the forest and everything is green, it says the bird song harmonizes the trees, humans, everything. Bird song, I'm sure, I know this whenever I hear a bird, I'm anywhere and I hear a bird song, it just like stops me, because it's so beautiful. And the bird song penetrates our skin, penetrates the bark of trees, penetrates all the plants. Bird song is so powerful. It's such a high vibrational frequency that it raises the vibration. It harmonizes everything. It harmonizes the forest, it harmonizes us, and it brings everything into connection together. and that's like a kind of a physical description of what happens just by hearing a bird song. You know, that's the yeah. So that's that. So that's what that is. And and then everything is in constant mode. When you're in the forest, it isn't still. I mean, it's see if you're in your ego, then it is still. But if you're in your heart, there everything is in motion. Everything has energy and is flowing, and and the trees, their energy is flowing, and the plants, and then there's also beings there. There's dragons, there's butterflies, there's dragonflies, there's spirits, there's orbs, everything, and it's not still. It's constant motion, and the more we can realize that we're in motion with it, then the more we tune into the motion, but we tune into the energies that are there as well. So So that's why 7 or 8 color codes in each section, and each color has represents something, and it really helps to look at those colors. If you look at that green, it's so beautiful, and 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 you allow that green to penetrate your consciousness, and take that in, and then also take the words in. And I gave you my rendition of the words, but it's a great way to start the reading. When you start reading, is to go one of those whatever section you're going to, and look at the color, and then read the words that are in the inscription that's written, and just get in the flow of the chapter by doing that to start out. So I was wondering, has anybody asked any questions or any comments that would be a good time to?
Let me just refresh. I hadn't seen one yet. There's quite a few comments, no doubt. Somebody commenting that the birds have been some of their dearest healers. Yeah, and I would invite anyone and everyone to ask questions. This is what I put at the very top of the comments. I want to just say about the birds. I've always been very connected to the trees from the beginning, and they've been great teachers for me. And and as many of you know, I go to the beach every night and commune. And I've had a really special recent evolution in my relationship with the birds. I've been visited by a particular white bird for about 2 weeks, but it's gone further than that now. So that when I'm walking now, and I don't have to be at the beach, I can be walking to the beach or walking somewhere else. And I'm finding, and this is all really accelerated in the last week since I had this series of seizures and experiences that came with it, which is really what it was about. But I'll be walking through town, and it's every time when I get off this show, I'll do it, and I guarantee it'll happen. And what'll happen is the moment I even go back into the old, like worry about this or something comes up, a bird will start chirping and singing, and I'll stop and go, oh, and I'm literally laughing as I'm walking down the street now, because they come and sing, and I can hear them, and sometimes they come in droves. And they give me messages like through their coordinated design when they fly and take off, or they're like the punctuation in the book of life that I'm reading. It's amazing. So I just wanted to say that's something that's started to appear in my life. Yeah. So if you have any, it's would it be linked to the description of the book? I'm not quite sure I understand that. Would it be linked to the description, the book? Blu-ray, if you can re-ask that question, rewrite that question, he'll be glad to address it. Yeah, and if you have any questions, just put them up. And you can see, I put the book up on the screen. let me just kind of go back to it. Uh, that you can see how easy of a read it is. This is chapter 5. And you can see the colors he was talking about. But you can also see the energy of the book. You can see it's very warm, and you can see it's a very easy read from the human perspective. Uh, I find it very quick to move through, and I've been an avid reader my whole life until the internet took over in about 2012. And I haven't read a lot of books since then. I read a lot online, but not books. But this one's been very easy to move through, and you can it is a 5D book because it's not just the words, right?
Yeah. And when Blue Star was helping me edit, after I'd written the manuscript, Blue Star came in and told me I needed to get rid of stuff and I needed to add stuff. And what it told me was, they said, this needs to be a perfect book. It needs to be inspired with color, with wisdom, with beauty, and with legend, and with heart. And they said, and it was going to help me edit the book so that we got to that place. And we got to that place. Whenever I read this book every day, and I haven't read one thing that I would change in this book. And that's unusual, I think, for an author. That everything in it is so perfect. And I was never a writer, so so it's not like, oh, I had these great writing skills. But with its direction, and the editor, the person that worked with me, the human who was helping me edit it, she just was able to take my words and to just make it this perfect representation of what we're talking about. It couldn't be any better than it is. So
See, there's
okay. So getting back, so chapter.
I was just going to say there's another synchronicity. He sent me, I think it was a message from the editor, or somehow or another he referenced the editor, and I happened to meet her. I met her a year and a half ago on the Canadian-American border in the Northwest Washington area. So here we go again.
Okay. So, okay. So developing sensory sensitivities. This is this is such a powerful wisdom in here, and you're gonna find bits and pieces around, but you're never going to see it all in this one place. It's so amazing. So there is a biophysicist. I think he would describe himself. His name is Dr. Glenn Ryan, and he was a scientist at Harvard and at Stanford, and he left those places because they wouldn't let him do what he really wanted to do. And he connected up with Heart Math Institute, and Heart Math Institute was was all about the heart, and Dr. Ryan was more about DNA, and um, and so they got together and they collaborated so that and they lined up perfectly. And so our DNA, so when we get into heart coherence, we're in our quantum DNA. So our two strands of physical linear DNA, our double helix, those are our physical DNA, and they control our, they determine our body, our physiology, all the things that are how the different organs, all aspects of our body physically. And then that's one strand, and then the second strand is more about emotionality. It's more about our perspective. Like, when we have a 3D perspective, again, we're in survival mode. So those two strands are are very linear and physical. But when we move into heart coherence, they transform out of linear 3D and they transform into quantum DNA, which is so powerful. And that's why when we move into a state of love, when I'm talking or when Todd's talking, and you can sense that we're in our hearts because we get emotional, that's our quantum DNA taking over. And so getting back to the toroidal field, so when our toroidal fields are uniform and colorful, then we can move into what's called, what Dr. Ryan determined, he actually coined this phrase, it's called geometric resonance. So our geometry, which is our toroidal field, that's our geometry. And then something else everything has a toroidal field. And geometric resonance is that we can resonate our toroidal field, our energy resonates and connects with another's toroidal field. That's geometric resonance. And that is so powerful because that's how we connect with interdimensional beings. We get into that geometric resonance, the heart, and then that energy goes out and attracts to us through synchronicities or just our intention to connect. Like right now, our intention is to connect with each other. That you can feel my geometric resonance, and you can feel Todd's, and you're interacting. We don't have to be on the same planet, but when we're on the same video, it makes it a little bit easier because we can visually see each other. That my geometric resonance, my heart resonance, is resonating with you, and you're resonating with us, and then you're resonating with not just everyone on the video, you're resonating with everyone that'll ever watch this video, and you're resonating with everyone on the planet. You're sending out that frequency to everyone on the planet. And that's so powerful. And see, that's how we manifest. So when we say you get a bill in the mail, and it's like, money, and it sends you into fear about, oh my God, how am I going to pay that bill, right? So when you go into fear around that bill, you're going to create negative situations around that bill because you're no longer in coherence, you're in fear, and you're going to resonate out fear, and you're going to draw to you things that cause you to be more fearful. You're going to draw to you harmful or difficult situation to you around that bill. But see, if you can, when you get that bill in the mail, if you can stay in heart coherence and not resonate fear, but you resonate love and confidence, and you can even ask your higher self, hey, I get this bill, I need help to take care of this. I can't do this myself. I don't know how to do, because our egos are really stupid. They don't know how to do things. They really don't, because they're coming from fear. But when you can turn it over to your higher self, or you just get in that state of love and you say, you know what? Yeah, this bill came in, and my first inclination is to be fearful. But no, I am not going to give into that fear. I am going to trust that the universe will take care of me, will help me take care of this bill. And I'm expecting miracles to happen that are going to take care of this bill. And then you just kind of let it go. Whenever you think about it, you just say, no, I'm not going to interfere. I'm just going to resonate that it's going to be taken care of. And then, of course, it is taken care of. And maybe even Todd did that when he got his seizures. He probably knew, a part of him knew, even though he was in an incredibly painful place, that he knew inside that he just had to stay connected to himself, to his heart, and trust that he would come out the other side. And see, when he did that, he resonated love and confidence and trust in the universe and in his higher self, that he was going to come through that. And that took him through that in a good way.
Yeah, that's very true. And it's interesting the way you explain things. And then I can, not only was it in that situation, that's what was remarkable because, having had 200 seizures over 35 years, I'm very familiar with them. And I can tell you, in 200 seizures between 50 and 50, after the very first one, I would go into fear. It would scare the hell out of me. This time, having
Yeah.
10 or 15 in 10 hours, I was never afraid. My heart
Mhm.
was open, and I guess it gave me access to a greater awareness, and so therefore the experience. But as I'm listening to you, I'm realizing that all these months I've spent here at the Bay, several months, night after night, the evolution of my connection and my communion with all that I'm looking at has obviously expanded and I guess paralleled the expansion that we're all going through. And as I was telling you earlier about the symphony of the wind and the birds and the white animals coming and all the different things, the trees sharing their wisdom, it's a real thing. And now I can see why, because my heart's opening more and more and more, and it's like the more your heart opens, the more you can see. So I've received a lot of information during that period, so much information that, like a lot of us have talked about in the last couple of years, so much is coming in you can't write it down fast enough, but it's still there. And so over after about 3 days of recovery, I started to bring it in and remember things. And one of those things is really interesting. Um, they all were really, but one of them is really interesting, and it's along the lines of what you're talking about. And I kind of understand it better now that you've explained what you've explained in terms of the heart opening and its direct relationship to this, to conscious creation. And I receive that I will be communicating with various, uh, what we would call ET, our star family species. And this sounds like it would be occurring over the next few months. And now I know, now I can see why. So it speaks right to what your book is speaking to. Thank you.
Mm. You're welcome, Todd. Um, so let's talk a little bit about these sensory sensitivities. This is so fascinating. You don't hear much about it, but so we have what's called a hippocampus. So the hippocampus in the brain is an amazing, amazing organ in our brain, and um, and there's an aspect of to bring up our avian friends, the birds again, but all mammals that migrate, even whales have these. So, and humans have that. We have this what's called magnetite in our brain. It's in the hippocampus, and magnetite is what birds use. It's tiny. I mean, even in whales, it's it's smaller than even in a whale, the magnetite is smaller than the head of the pin of a nail, the head of a pin. That's how small magnetite is in a whale. And whales use that. They also use sound from other whales to migrate north and south, right? They follow, and the magnetite is connects up with the magnetic field of the Earth, and it's microscopic almost. It's called a nanometer, which is a millionth of a millimeter. That's how tiny it is in a whale. I can't even imagine how small it is in a bird. But the magnetite allows us to navigate, and it allows beings to navigate using the Earth's magnetic field. Well, we have magnetite in our brain, and we don't migrate, but we use magnetite to navigate through magnetic energy fields. And so bodies produce both magnetic fields and also produce electrical fields. Electrical fields are more thought process, which are important as well. But the magnetic energy is how we connect with the heart, is through the magnetic energy. And love is magnetic energy. And our magnetite allows us to navigate through these low frequency magnetic fields of the earth, and everything has a magnetic field. So it's the magnetite. And when we connect, and right now, Todd and I are connected. I can feel it. Todd can feel it. And I'm sure you can feel it. Maybe, hopefully, you can feel it in yourself. Maybe you could leave a comment if you can about whether you can feel this or not. But so, because again, when we sense the geometric resonance of another being, then that's the magnetite is allowing that to happen, and it creates new neural firings in our body. We create new neural pathways in our bodies, and that is so important, because when we're under stress, our bodies our neurons fire in a certain way, but it's in a negative way, where it creates fear. It creates more fear, and we get into depression or anxiety, and that's the neurons that are firing then. But when we get into the heart, the hippocampus allows us to create a new neural pathway. So now we're firing magnetic energy, which is creating more loving and helps us stay. The more we create those new neural pathways, that becomes our normal. So when we get that bill in the mail, the next time we get it, it might not be, oh, we go into fear. We just go, oh, yeah, there's that bill. Okay, I can take care of that. I know, I trust that I have these new neural pathways. My neurons are firing in a new way, that I know that I can get through this in a good way, and I don't have to be under stress about it. And so that is so important. It's those firing, because that's how we learn we can get into the heart coherence, but we lose it as soon as we get into stress, as soon as the ego is involved. And the ego could be something good that happens. Like say you're into sports and your sports team wins and you're all happy that they won. You're not in your heart, you're in your ego, because your ego's happy that your sports team won. Or even if you get a lot of money and you go, oh wow, I got all this money, and you're happy about it, you're in duality, you're in the ego. It doesn't mean that you can't be joyful that we're receiving abundance. There's a difference between, oh, I'm in abundance now and I appreciate that I'm in abundance. That's different than, oh, now I have all this money and now I don't have to be stressed out. There's a difference between those two things, because one is being involved with the ego, one is being in duality of good and bad, and the other one is being in the heart, which is, the heart doesn't care whether there's money. The heart doesn't care whether there's good things are happening. The heart doesn't really care about that. The heart just cares about love and about being connected to these energies that we're talking about. So
Yeah. We have one question. This is from Lotus 2263. Thank you. On YouTube. I wonder how you all feel about the children now. I feel they know how to do all this you're discussing, like it's more natural to them. I have 3 children, and they don't hold fear. So, Bliss, has the Blue Star Consciousness spoken of the children?
yes, definitely. Yes, children, probably over the last 20 years, they're born with different DNA than we were born with. If you're older, like I am, that we were born with just linear DNA and we didn't have access to this quantum DNA. But children, and especially children that are um, maybe autistic or challenged in that way, they have a really. I mean, I've heard many parents say that their autistic children are really tuned in to things. And I believe that all children are have that capacity because they're born with their quantum DNA activated, and that's why they're here, because they're here to they're going to be taking over the planet, and so they're well equipped for that, but they're having to live through, the all the density they're having to live through. I mean, they have to go to school, they have to go through all the education. I mean, all that crap that they have to go through. They still have to go through that, but they don't buy into it. Like, I mean, when I was in school, I had to buy into everything. It was horrible, horrible existence to be in the educational system. But they're still in a bad educational system. But but they don't buy into it like we bought into it, because we were in survival, and they don't have that problem. So that's probably what that parent is experiencing.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I have 6 children, and I've noticed that in the youngest one. She doesn't seem to. I don't know how to explain it, but there is a fearlessness to it. Uh, she used to tell me all the time when she was a kid, "I do what I want," but she wasn't saying it arrogantly. She was just saying, and she also used to say to me, "Well, that's not right." Like if she saw an inequity, or if she saw something or wanted something, and it wasn't from a selfish standpoint, she didn't understand why she couldn't have it, and so then she set out to make it happen. So yeah,
Yeah.
I and so she was born in 2002. So I would say, and from what I've seen, we've even had kids on the show over the years. 9 years old, 11 years old, 14, and they've had some pretty extraordinary things to say. So just when you said they're going to be running the show here, I was like, wow, that's closer than we think.
Yeah. Yeah. So when your daughter said those things, Todd, she was standing in her sovereignty. She was saying, no, that's not right. I'm not buying that. I know in my heart that this is true, and I'm going to go with that. So, yeah. So that's why she was your most recent child. So 2002. Yeah. She would have gotten that quantum DNA thing. And plus, when children can get, this is really fascinating too. I'm just starting another book, and have you ever heard of Joseph Chilton Pierce? He wrote a book called the Magical Child, or the Crack in the Cosmic Egg. He talks about how he was one of the first people that said, when a baby is born, the first thing you do is you give it to the mother, and the mother holds it on her heart. That's the first thing you do when a child is born, because the child is inside the womb, right, for 9 months or whatever, and it's directly connected to the mother. I mean, everything the mother feel, all the neurons, everything the mother experiences, and hopefully the mother is in a good space, emotional space, and that child is greatly affected by the mother, and that's where the child learns how to interact energetically, because that's its only form of communication. It sends and receives messages interdimensionally with the mother, through neurons, through chemicals, right? It's getting that exchange. And then when it's born, it's torn out of that into this harsh environment, taken away from the mother, and who knows what, fed by a nurse or whatever they do typically, and it loses that connection. But when the mother holds it, and the mother can send love to that child, it reinforces that bond and creates this emotional safety and spiritual safety. And the child gives it's the start of the child being in physical form outside the mother's body, and and maintains that connection with the mother, and it can keep that connection. If it doesn't lose it, it makes it easier for the child to keep that connection. And that's the sensitivity that I'm talking about developing in the book, that we have to now go back, because we didn't have that development of our sensitivities, our ability to connect energetically with other things. Now we've had to learn how to do that as adults, but when a child can get that from the mother and keep it and not lose it, then that child has a great advantage, but there aren't very many adults though that actually are able to do that, just because they don't know about that. They don't know the importance of the emotional connection that's important between adult and child. That is so important. That's crucial for the child feeling safe and secure in the world. When they have that with the mother or with a parent, with some adult, could be a grandparent, when they can have that safety and confidence and security in that relationship, it helps them have that in the world. And your daughter developed that. That's why she could stand in her sovereignty, Todd, because she got that somehow, either through you or its mother, or just naturally she had that on her own. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So what you're saying is that, and it makes perfect sense. The whole example of, putting the child on the mother, on the chest of the mother, the heart of the mother, and how that actually works in the physicality through, through the electrical impulses, the magnetic, and the other things, the neuron network that you're talking about. That's sounds to me like what people have been talking about on the show with more frequency over the last couple of years, as we keep going through this evolution of this higher than telepathy, this other higher band of communication that is de-emphasizing the verbalization. It's instinct and innate and intuitive and telepathic. And it's also something that you see that's kind of the standout on the telepathy tapes, that podcast where they're, I don't know if you've seen it, I think they're in the second season now, and it's this, what do you call it, documentary producer that is spending time with children on the spectrum, and what information they're bringing through, which is quite impressive. And it's speaking to what I'm talking about now and what you're bringing up. So that's a really good sign, even like the anecdote about my daughter, the telepathy tapes, these children that are coming in with different DNA, that would, even in the physicality, fastly becoming the majority, right? So that in itself is pushing us to that tipping point. We had another question. Claire Ken on YouTube, thank you. Would your book resonate with the children and animals, i.e., reading this out loud to them?
yes. And the words might go over their head, but just opening the book and reading it. And when you receive the physical book, it's more powerful than the PDF book. I mean, it's much more powerful. So I really encourage you to send me an email with your address so that I can send you a free book, because the physical book is much different than the PDF book. But just even just ordering the book from me will send that vibration of will radiate that vibration to you. You'll receive the vibration of the book just requesting it. And then when you get the book and you open it, it'll be more powerful than the PDF, but you'll get the vibration of the book is so powerful. And yes, to read it, even if the child doesn't understand it, because they probably won't. Most adults will have a hard time understanding this, because it's such a different, it's so different from what we're used to reading, because this is about energy and it's about the heart, and you don't see very many things that like. So what I did see, what happens is that when I describe like the part about the hippocampus, it's so important to get the cognitive understanding of what the hippocampus does and how it creates new neural pathways. Because when your consciousness understands, oh, this is what's happening, on a physical level, then it makes it easier for you to integrate it on the multidimensional level. The cognitive understanding of what's happening helps facilitate the process in your consciousness. And so having the intention to read this to your children and have them look at the colors, the pictures, and just somehow put it in a language they might understand, point out things. Oh, this is saying that if you do this, when you do this, this happens, and put it in their language, gives them a story about yourself or maybe a story about their life, something that's happened in their life where they were tuned into those energies, something that they trusted or something synchronicity, some synchronicity that happened that affected their life in a positive way. And to get them to start to realize how they create these wonderful things in their life. Like the child created this wonderful thing where they have you as a parent. That's a synchronicity. That's an agreement that the two of you had, that you were going to come onto this planet and you were going to be of great benefit to each other. You were going to share love together. You were going to learn and experience wonderful things together. Those kinds of things would be great to share with the child. So, and again, the physical book will make a difference. So I really want to encourage people to send me those emails, and I'll get them out to you as soon as I can in the next couple of weeks.
And just to be clear, that comment where it says new link, that's for the PDF book. You can pull that down now, and then above his head is his email, where you can send him an email, and he'll send you the hard copy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if there's no more comments, I'd like to talk about there are these beings that are actually they're Lemurian, and my wife is, and I am too, and we're called the Shining Ones, or we're called the She, and it's spelled Sidhe, the She. It's a Gaelic word, and I don't know how long, hundreds of thousands of years ago, human beings on the surface of the planet, they were presented with a possibility of either going either less dense into a less dense reality or going into a more dense reality. And some beings chose to go less dense, and they moved into a more of a etheric realm and a spiritual realm, and kind of like where where the fairies and angels, whatever, live in that realm. And then some decided to go more dense, and that's who we are, human beings on the surface of the planet. So now it is time for us to come together again. And that's why these Lemurians, who are she beings, want to come to the surface. And inner Earth beings, there's 120 inner Earth cities around the planet, and they're wanting, they're, excuse the phrase, dying. They want to come to the surface of the planet so badly, because they realize that in order for all of the planet to evolve, we have to come together. And it isn't like they're wonderful and we're not. We have, the fact that we can survive, that we can live and we can evolve on this physical plane is amazing, that we're doing this. And we have something very important to contribute, and they have something to contribute. Isn't that they're wonderful and we're not? That we're both extremely amazing, and when we join forces, then it's just going to change everything. It's going to take us over the top. And so so like I said, so my wife, let me read this from let's see. So there's a there's a term that they call, it's called Anwa. It's spelled ANWA, and it's divine identity in motion. So a little while ago, I said, when all these interdimensional beings, when you walk out into the forest and there's all these interdimensional beings, trees and plants and birds and everything, they're all in, their energy is in motion. Nothing is stagnant. Everything is flowing, and their energy are flowing through each other. It isn't just that they're just flowing separately. They're all flowing in unison. And and we are meant to be in that flow. And this is the way. This is a she high priestess. Her name is Mariel. She's in a book by David Spangler, and in that she says, the Anwa emerges from our soul's intent, our devotion to be a certain thing in a certain way. This reflects our divine innate identity. So let me explain that. So when our soul's intent, like I'll use myself as an example, my soul's intent is to connect with these energies. It's my whole purpose for existing on this earth. That's my intent. That's my soul's intent. That's what I want. I'm not, before my intent was to have a job, have a career, have a family, to produce all these things, make money. That was my intent. But now my soul's intent is to live in these energies, and I'm completely devoted and dedicated to doing this. And this is my divine innate identity, and I know that this is my divine identity. This is who I am, and I believe this is who everyone is. That we've gotten caught up in the physical world, and we had to survive, but now it's time to leave that. It doesn't mean that you quit your job, of course not. You still have to survive. You don't leave your family, of course not, but they become part of your divine identity. Your family does, and how you help them raise their vibration, right? And it's the motion of our identity. So when I stand in the forest, I'm not just standing there and there's all this motion around me. No, I get into the motion. I send my motion, I move into movement with it. And sometimes I have dragon friends that I imagine them, flying around. I have butterfly friends. I have dragonflies. I have dolphins. I have, water elementals. There's air elementals. And when I'm standing in the forest, I imagine that I'm flowing just like I'm in the flow with everything. I'm in flow with the whole environment. And when I do that, that's how the she connect. It's called Anwa, ANWA. Anwa is being in that energetic flow, the interdimensional energetic flow, the magnetic flow with these beings. And that's how they connect to their world. And that's what they bring. That's what they bring to the table to help us, is teaching us how to connect. They're all about connection. But you see what we are about, this is so amazing. So they bring the connection. And you know what we bring, Todd? We bring fire. We have this fire. We have humans' emotions are one of the most powerful things on the planet, in the universe. Human emotion is so powerful. When it's in alignment, when it's scattered and anxious, it's not, of course. But human emotion, when it's in the flow, when it's in the energetic flow, the Amwa, with all these other beings, we bring this incredible power to the table that nothing else in the universe can match. That's how powerful we are. And that's why the earth is the center of the cosmos right now. The whole cosmos is focused on us. Everything, the creator, which is the masculine force, and then Mother Sophia, which is the feminine force. They're like of course, they're the dominating forces of love in the universe, in the cosmos. And then so when we create, when we're, even our meeting today is radiating out through the whole cosmos and having an impact on every being in the cosmos. That's how powerful we are. And every time we do this, they love it. They just absolutely adore that we're doing, that we're making this transformation, and we're bringing the power, the fire of emotion and love to the cosmos, that no one else, that no other beings can. And so that's why they're here supporting us so incredibly right now, because we've needed it. We needed their support, but we have to do it, and we are doing it. There's so many people now that are resonating with what we're talking about, and the book just helps, and our videos, Todd, just help reinforce that in people and educate people and affect them with our vibration is just as important as the words that we're sharing, that our vibration is radiating out as well.
Yes. I have
That was a lot.
no, that was fantastic. It's perfect. We got 7 minutes left on the 90-minute mark, so this is perfect. But I have one reflection, and there was a couple of questions. Again, the way you explain everything, I was going back to last night with the birds, in particular the birds, because there was quite a number of them came to me last night. Normally it's one, maybe two, but last night there was a couple of dozen, and they were telling me what you're saying. They were telling me that they were souls in my language. They said, we're souls, just like you. And I said, yeah, I get that. But you used the term, when you went to the forest, these are interdimensional beings. And I'm realizing what they were really telling me last night is that everyone and everything pretty much is, right? So even when we look at our children, or we look at our, relatives or our friends or whatever, we're looking at an interdimensional being here. When we look at a butterfly, when we look at an ant, I'm having this incredible interaction with the ant kingdom. They've taught me a lot. I'm telling you the truth. They taught me a lot in the last 24 hours. They're teaching me about harmony. They were showing me how that in the distortion, I could just wipe them out on my kitchen counter without a second thought. And they stopped me. Now, this is something I've been working on a long time with all things, but I was tired. I woke up and I went to the counter and there was all these ants, and I just, natural reaction. I picked up a paper towel and I started to squash them, and I thought, oh, wait a minute. I went to the beach and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I look at my arm and it's covered in ants. And they just said, we're not going to bite you. We just want you to know we can live in harmony, right? So they're interdimensional beings. And then they showed me their strengths. They showed me community. They showed me what I would call, how they say, if what is it? Adrenaline. Like if a mother's child stuck under a car and she can pick it up like she's the Hulk, right? This something about this conversion of you might say the unseen, maybe it's the toroidal, that translates into their actual physical strength, But they showed me a bunch of stuff, and it was really cool. And so I realize now, and I guess I just didn't have it that specified, I had it as soul, but these are interdimensional beings. Every one of them. My children are interdimensional beings, and we can connect there. Now, one of my friends, Eve, she had a question earlier, and then as you were talking, she put it up right after you started talking, and she said, "Oh, you answered my question. That's cool." So she didn't even, I didn't even have to ask the question, and you answered it. And I think this speaks to what you're talking about. Okay, so
Yes.
I don't even have to read the question because you we're on the same wavelength, and I think this is really what you're talking about and what we're moving into here. Now, there's another question from another friend of mine, Elise. She's in New Zealand. She said, "Do you have any intel regarding Mu, the continent of Mu, which some people associate with Lemuria? We in
Mhm.
Aotearoa, I'm sorry I messed that name up, but the New Zealand area, are being awakened to a deeper connection and awareness to the land of Mu, and would love to hear your intel, if any. Thank you, and gratitude and love." And thank you, Elise.
Yes, exactly. So Lemurians, 4 million years ago, we came from the planet Mu. And so some people called the Lemurian continent, which stretched all the way from Japan to California down to New Zealand. That continent filled the whole Pacific Ocean before it sank. And Hawaii, Kauai especially, was the center of the Lemurian continent. And some people called it the Mu continent. But yeah, it's the same thing as Lemuria. Lemu is, how you spell Lemuria. So yeah, Mu is the planet we come from, and is the continent. The Lemurian continent is Mu as well. Yep.
Wow.
So if you have that, so many people who are tuned into this video or tuned into the book are Lemurian, have been Lemurian, and but you don't have to be Lemurian to benefit from the book. But but I just find it's important to remember who we are, not as a way to separate us, but just as a way to connect with, where we come from, and every civilization is incredibly beautiful and wonderful, the origins of it, and so it's helpful to remember that, to connect with your origins. And also I'll add, we're just about finished here, I'll just add, and we can connect, we can start with this next time, is that we all come from the stars. I mean, literally, we are star consciousness. We created stars together. Many of us are. Anyone who's awakening now is in the front, is riding the crest of this wave. We are star beings, literally star beings, extremely powerful creators, and it's so important to move into that and connect with those star energies. So we
Yeah,
can connect. We
I've
can
been,
talk about that. Could be what we lead into.
yeah, I think I told you last time we talked 2 weeks ago, that I've been having these experiences with the stars, uh, like everything else, like I never had before. And that's one of the things they've shown me or told me is that what you're looking at is your book of life. This is essentially your past. So it's more than just a cookie crumb trail home or a guide. It's actually your memories, and so that was kind of cool to get that information. We have one more question, real quick. I want to just make sure we cover it from Lotus again. So, are these beings already visiting from inner Earth? And it's really two questions. And also, Anwa, is that Gaelic too?
Um, I would imagine that word is Gaelic, yes, because it comes from the she. So, but I'm not really sure about that. And what was the first thing you asked, Todd?
Are the
What was the first
beings are
thing
the
you
beings
said
from
just a second ago?
yeah, are the beings from like Telos
Oh, inner Earth.
Yeah, are they visiting already?
Um, they can't really handle, again, they can't really handle the density. So I don't think they're not visiting in any kind of physical form that we can see. And I think the same is true with the inner earth beings, that they can't handle it yet. And so they're not in any kind of physical form, but there's lots of people that connect with them, that are bringing, their information. And the main thing they're bringing, Todd, is how much they're looking forward to connecting with us. It's like this is like one of the greatest things in their life, just like it will be in ours. This is like something they want so much, is to bring their love and wisdom and knowledge. Like they have these free energy devices that they want to bring to the surface, so that we don't have to, so we can get free energy, save free energy. I mean, that's one of the vehicles, Merkaba vehicles. They have all these things that they want to bring and unite with us, because we're their family. That's simple. We're truly their family. Yep.
Well, that was
Brings
a
tears to
solid.
my eyes.
Yeah, that was a solid 90 minutes. Just
Yeah.
as thank you so much. Just as a reminder, we'll be coming back the same time every week. And also, if you look at the above Bliss's head, that's his email, blissfulearth@proton.me. You can get a hard copy mailed to you. Just send him a request. And then the other one that I put up throughout the show is to download the ebook immediately if you'd like to. And you saw it when I put it up earlier. It's a very easy read, but like he said, he suggests that you get the hard copy because it does make a difference. And I would imagine energetically, yes, it must. So yeah, I thought it was great. It was a great first show, and I'm looking forward to
Oh,
diving in each week and having these conversations. Thank you so much, Bliss, and thank you everybody for coming in and sharing space with us. We'll see you next week, and if you're interested, we'll be on in 3 hours with Gareth Jenkins, very similar energy to Bliss, and Katie Kiss. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a nice
thank
day.
you, everyone. I love you all.
Take care.
Okay. Thank you, Todd.